in my mind, the biggest key to success, almost anybody I see that takes it to a whole different level, the highest levels, the difference between them and other people is their sequencing. And what I mean by sequencing is the following. So you and I may have the same vision of what we want to do in life, okay? You want to get here, I want to get here. This could be anything. We both want to build $1 billion company. Fine. We both want to be building a company that does 100 million a year. We both want to go into football. We both want to go play at the highest level. We both want to go out there and be great sales. Whatever it may be, that's the ultimate, right? If my order of steps I take to go here isn't as efficient as yours because your sequencing is better, you're going to get there faster than I am. And I may never even get there because I'm trying to do move 14 on move 3. And that's the most common thing that you see. One day I woke up, I was in a relationship, and I'm 26 years old, 27 years old, 26, 25 years old, and I'm trying to get my business going. I wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a text. Babe, I have to tell you this. As much as I love you, I don't see this relationship going anywhere. One of those texts. Because I think my mom is right. You love your business more than you love me, and I barely see you. I only see you once a week. You're working so hard. First text. Then, message. I press the message to listen to it. My mom. You know, there used to be a time they used to love me, and you would call me and tell me you love me. What happened to those? What happened to my little son that used to love his mother? Like,
call me every day, hug me.
Like, that's the part. So now I got a breakup on the line. I got a guilt trip from my mom. That's still 6:02 right now. Then I get an email.
You haven't even got out of bed yet.
I haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Then I get an email that's been in the box for a while, and I look at it. It's from my number one client that I was about to expect like a $15,000 commission, and that's a lot of money at that time. And my number one client says he's leaving me for the following reasons. And then at the same time, the next email is my agent saying I resign. My number one agent resigns. This all happens before 6:05, 6:10. So I'm in bed, anxiety's high, panic is high. I have no idea what to do. In that moment, all I thought about is, what are my next 5 moves? What do I need to do next? From that moment on, everything I did with business, I would ask myself, I'm going to do this next, my next 10, 15 moves. Or what would this guy do? This guy that built an empire, what would he do? What are we going to do here? What can I do to be better than this guy? What can I do to be more efficient? And what can I do to speed up the process to get here? But everything came down to your next 5 moves. So you're asking the question, is the first move the most important? Absolutely it is. If you don't know your next move can hurt the chances of you even getting to the 5th move. Listen, your number one move is you identifying who you want to be. Not who Tiffany wants to be, it's who do you want to be. Not what Patrick wants to be, not what Bobby wants, not what your older brother, sister, mom, dad. Who do you want to be? If you and I can figure out who we want to be, and it's as transparent and as clear as possible, I don't have to compare myself against your success. Now here's a problem though. Say for instance, I sit there and I say, honestly, I just want to be a person that's just a regular person, and I'm glad if I make 80 grand a year, 100 grand a year, I have a nice place, I'm married, I'm happy, my kids are with me, I have good relationships, I'm totally happy. If you say that,
if that's what you want to be.
If you say that's what you want to be.
But if you say, I want something else, and you're not doing it, then what?
Exactly, but watch this one here. If you say that's what you want to be and you're content with that life, but behind closed doors, your buddy Lewis Howes is making millions, he's doing great, he's all over the place, people are talking about it. If an ounce of envy or jealousy comes in, you either weren't being honest with yourself, because that's not exactly who you wanted to be, or you got to ask the decision, am I living my life or his life? That's the toughest thing to do. Right? So you as the individual have to make a decision. Either I'm going for I want all the marbles, and I'm willing to go be embarrassed, lose, public humiliation after another one until I get there, or I'm going to live a simple life and I'm okay with this. But you have to be clear about that. That's step number one. Once you're identifying that part, and once I know my talents, where can my talents be used? You know, if you're a numbers guy, what industry can use your talents? Well, maybe it's finance, economy, investment banker, you know, maybe it's on that side. If it's a creative side, maybe I'm going to go be on the marketing side. Maybe I want to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be in front of camera. I want to be the support person. Then you say, well, I'm not a good number one guy. I'm a good number 2 person. I'm a number 3 person. Then you have to find out your positioning at the point of your life. And I said, so Tom, let me ask you a question. In your life, you guys sold Jam Dad for $780 million. You got a massive exit, but you were the number 6 guy. how come you don't want to be the number one guy? He says, good question. He gave me the best answer. He says, you realize I'm 54 years old at the time when we were talking. He says, it took me 54 years to realize I'm not a good number one.
54 years.
54 years to realize I'm not a good number one.
What would have happened if you would have realized that at 30?
That's the point. Every one of his biggest checks he ever got, he was the number 5, the number 4, or the number. Every time he was number 1, the company didn't do well.
Interesting.
So sometimes we want to be number 1, but maybe you're not a number 1. It's the sequencing, man. Everything is sequencing.
What does sequencing mean for you? What is that?
Sequencing to me means, okay, if you wake up every day, you have a sequence of what you do. Okay, like what's the first thing you do when you wake up?
Mostly meditate.
Okay, what's the next thing you do?
Make my bed.
And then what's the next thing you do?
Brush my teeth, shower.
Okay, that's a sequence.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what if I wake up and the first thing I do is I shower first? Okay, then I go eat, then I put my clothes on, then I go to work, and I say sometime throughout the day I'm going to meditate. I just messed the whole sequence up. What is the foundation of what I'm starting the day with, right?
Yeah.
What is the sequence of what I'm going to be doing next? If every decision you're about to make next, whether it's marriage, having kids, business partnership, a joint venture, if everything you did, you stepped away from the world, your girl, your mom, your dad, your peers, your family, you went to a restaurant, you sat there with a piece of paper saying, okay, I'm thinking about marriage. What do I need to do next? What's the next move I need to make? Then you go, I don't know if that's number 1. I think that's number 3. And you play that game. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's like playing chess. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, these master chess players, they know their next 10 or 15 moves. The amateurs were like, here we go. This is what I'm going to do. You know, and these guys are like,
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah. They
It's all
see it in the future.
It's all sequencing.
But it takes the steps to get to the future. You can't just jump to the future.
I mean, it's the story of Bob Iger, it's the story of Ted Turner, it's the story of Kirk Kerkorian. You know, how Kirk Kerkorian went from being a regular guy in Bakersfield who didn't graduate past 8th grade, you know, goes and pays a guy $1 to let him fly a plane and eventually becomes a pilot for Bugsy with the mob and eventually goes and becomes a pilot, buys TWA, turns it into a big company, sells it for a few $100 million, then decides to go to Vegas, then he decides to buy a couple hotels, then he buys 80 acres of property across the street from Tropicana, then he buys MGM. He's not the founder of MGM. He turns it into what it is, dies at 98 years old as a multi-billionaire, gives $1 billion to Armenia after the earthquake of 1988. This is all sequencing, man. This is all sequencing when you go through it. Everything is sequencing.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, you tend to make better decisions.